Hello. Here's a couple problems to review. There we go. When we're looking for where a function is discontinuous, when you have a fraction, anything that gives you 0 in the denominator is discontinuous. And so if we set the denominator equal to 0, subtract the 1 to the other side, oops, this would be discontinuous at -1. Because if you plug -1 in here, -1 plus 1 is 0. So it's discontinuous at -1. Now if we want to find the limit as x approaches -1, because that's where it's discontinuous, first thing we do is just plug it in. If you get an answer, then we're done. If we plug in -1, we know in the bottom we're going to get 0. But on top we're also getting 0. That means there's a common factor. You need to go back and reduce this. So the limit as x approaches -1. The top is factorable. Two numbers, when we multiply, we get -5. Then when we add, we get -4. 1 and -5. When you multiply those, you get a -5. When you add them, you get a -4. So it's x plus 1, x minus 5. And the x plus 1's cancel. So we just have the x minus 5. Plug it in again and see what you get. -1 minus 5 is a -6. So it's discontinuous at -1, but we can still find a limit. When you're solving logs and you have more than one, you need to combine them. And the rule of logs, when you're adding, it becomes a multiplication. So this is the log base 3 of x times x plus 3 equal to 2. Remember, when there's no base, it's a base 10, but this one's base 3. I'm going to distribute that first. So we have x squared plus 3x. Then we can rewrite it. Start with your base and loop around. 3 squared equals x squared plus 3x. This is a 2. Now we have a quadratic, so we need to get it set equal to 0. We could also, 3 squared is 9. Subtract the 9 to the other side. And this one is not factorable, so I'm going to put it in the quadratic formula. A is 1, B is 3, and C is a -9. Remember, ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. Negative b plus or minus the square root b squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2 times a. Calculating under the radical, 9, 4 times 9 equals 45. So then we take -3 plus the square root of 45 over 3 and -3 minus. If you're putting it all in at once, you need to put the numerator in parentheses. -3 plus the square root of 45 divided by 3. So the top needs to be in parentheses. I'm going to round it 1.236. And then I can hit second and enter, make my plus sign a minus, -3.236. Now you need to check your values, because remember the log, you can't take the log of a negative number or 0. So if I take 1.236 plus 3 is a positive number, 4.236. Plugging it in here, it's a positive, so this one's a good answer. When I plug the negative one in though, -3.236 plus 3, that's a negative. It's also negative here, so this one will not work. You cannot take the log of a negative number. And so it's just the positive one. This one we could write the same base, because 125 is 5 cubed, and an exponent to an exponent is multiplied. 25 is also 5 to a power, it's 5 squared. So if you can get them as the same base, then you can set the exponents equal. Now, that's because the x equal to ay, when you have the same base, x equals y. But this is in the denominator. We can move it up. It changes the sign on the exponent. And I'm going to distribute this 3. Now I have the same base. I can set the exponents equal and solve. Subtract the 9 and divide by 3. So that's one way of solving this problem. Another way of solving it is the way I'm going to solve this one. This one we cannot write it as the same base. When you cannot write it as the same base, you could take the natural log of both sides. The reason the natural log is nice, if we have an exponent like we do here, we can bring that down in front. So if we take the natural log of both sides, then this exponent, x plus 2, can come down in front. Now we need to get rid of this. We can divide it. So that we have x plus 2 equals the natural log of 5 over the natural log of 8. And then just subtract the 2 to the other side. Natural log 5 over natural log of 8 minus 2. This is the exact value. And then we plug it into our calculator to get the estimate. Natural log button is here. The natural log of 5, close the parenthesis, divided by the natural log of 8, close the parenthesis, minus 2 is a negative 1.226.